Pew, pew, pew. Welcome back. Here's another take for DM Talks. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of DM Talks, a podcast that aims to promote well-being and assist healing, whether that be physically, mentally, or spiritually. Ultimately, we just want to be seen in our entirety, and this podcast hopes to show listeners how multifaceted they are. We're all the center of our own universe, so why don't we do more to better our own existence? Pew, 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 pew. We're hoping that this will go through because listeners, we're really struggling with the technology today. We really are.
It's been a time.
Let me tell you now that Mercury retrograde is in full force. We are recording this at the start of June, so things are a bit wavy, but it's okay because we moved and we're going to get you an episode.
Exactly.
I'd love to welcome to the stage. I was about to say welcome to the stage. I didn't even say my name yet. Hello, everyone. Hello, DM Talk listeners. How I'm DM Talk family. My name is Sarah, and it's Sarah DM, aka DM.Seerah, and I'm your podcast list. I don't know why I'm chatting shit. Sorry, I don't know what happened to me.
That's fine. Chat it. That's what I do. Sometimes I'm like, welcome to another episode. What's the podcast called again? I've forgotten.
No, honestly, sometimes I need to have my prompts up to remind me, but it's okay. I'm your host, Sarah DM, aka DM.Seerah, and today I'm joined by the lovely, the creative, the funny Bradley. Pew, 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 pew. Yes. Hello to the virtual stage, Bradley. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me. I feel quite honoured that I've had all this time with you because I thought we'd just like record it and be done, but we've been through so much together already. Like this has been like you said. Like Mercury retrograde, I am watching you with like a fine eye from now on. Like I'm prepared for the next few weeks fully. Like this has been a time.
Well, I'm happy that I was able to let you know. It's quite funny because I think the last Mercury retrograde that we had was in January, and I did a podcast recording. I did it it was called Root Work. It was with Danielle. And that is an amazing episode. Shout out to you, Danielle, if you listen to this. But oh my God, the technical glitches on that episode were ridiculous. By the end of the episode, I wanted to throw my laptop in the bin, throw the microphone away. Like I was done with all of it. Like mate, me and Josh, my another co-producer on the podcast, we were literally like screaming at the technology because nothing wanted to work with us. But it's okay. We learned that in January, so we're a bit more restful for this one.
Exactly. We're like, no laptops will be thrown in the making of this podcast, you know?
Oh my God, literally. But hello to the virtual stage, Bradley. I'm so happy for you to join us today. Please, could you let listeners know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Bradley and I'm from Essex in England. I've lived here pretty much all my life, moved around a little bit, but still an Essex boy through and through. I've always been a massive theatre nerd, film buff, TV fan, and a Disney parks fanatic as well. I worked at Walt Disney World in Florida for a year back in 2017. It was the best experience of my life. I'm still trying to find that thing that's going to beat that experience. But hey, we move. And I, over the past year, obviously everyone had a really rough time with mental health, trying to find ways of occupying their minds. And I've always been a very creative person. I've always loved my technology as well, apart from today. And it's been, I basically took what I knew from editing and using like certain softwares and my love for the Disney parks and brought the magic home. We couldn't go to the parks last year because of the pandemic. So I thought, hey, how can I bring this magic home for people? So I basically reached out to people from all across the Disney company, from all around the world, from every department, from Imagineers to performers in Shanghai, Disneyland, Paris, Florida, California, to people that have worked for Disney weddings, so many different people, and just brought it to people's ears for daily listening. And I actually had a bit of a technical glitch myself, Sarah. I ended up dropping wine over my laptop, very on brand for me, losing 60 episodes of the podcast, which was devastating. But I took that as a, you know what, it's that, like I said to you earlier, that was the dress rehearsal. This is the real thing. And yeah, still bringing the magic home. So if you want a Disney fix, and we release episodes on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays every single week, Confessions of a Disney Cast Member, available on all streaming platforms and over on Instagram as well.
Honestly, amazing. Like, thank you so much, because I actually found you through your co-host Sophie, who is also a Disney fanatic, and I'm just happy that like you're so present with your childhood curiosity. Like you said something earlier in the one of many technical glitches that we had, of how bringing your childhood loves to your adulthood and like the journey of that. So it's really impressive that you can explore more of your child self, and you can explore more of Disney, because you said Imagineers, you said food and beverage, you said so many people around the world, and like now your podcast is a platform that, or another medium that they can explore on. So we appreciate you.
Definitely. Thank you so much,
So
Sarah.
thank
And thank you again for like also having a platform for other creators and stuff as well. It's really nice to be able to come and shed our creativity on someone else's journey as well. And also shouting out Sophie Wallace, love you so much. I didn't mean to forget you there. That's probably like the second time I've forgotten you and all the recordings are done. So I love you dearly.
No, but honestly, like, but I love it, because the thing is, it's funny because I appreciate it and I thank you, but I probably guess that you get a similar thing as a podcaster. There's something beautiful about having guests, because you're literally bouncing off someone. Like, don't get me wrong, the editing and all of that jargon is long, but like,
it's boring. Let's be honest, it's boring. We just want to get the episode out there. We just want people to listen to it. Like, if I could just like click my fingers and get it done, like, I'd rather people have the content sooner, right?
No, you're right. But I also think there's something really beautiful about like the process, or about the journey as well. One thing that I can speak on, that I've probably spoken on before on this podcast, is like the change of events and how we've just adapted to them. So me and Josh, particularly one of my co-producers, we were recording in a studio at the start of the year, but then the pandemic hit, so we couldn't use that studio. Because the co-producers still had access to the equipment, they would pick up the equipment, take it to mine, and we'd be able to record some things, and we were able to still provide that content. But it made me realize that regardless of what challenges presented, we were able to like go around it and go through it. So claps to us for providing content to all the bad bitches out there.
Exactly.
Well, let me take you to the first segment, which is called The Divine. And The Divine is where we nominate a good thing that we want to shine a light on. And as we're talking about animation, as we're talking about all fun-filled things, I thought it would only be right to nominate one of my favourite films. And my favourite film, one of my favourite animation films, I'm not sure, is it Disney or is it Pixar? Or is it Disney and Pixar?
Well, sorry, you can cut that out. So I'm not going to give spoiler alert, but the film that you're going to talk about is Disney, not Pixar,
Okay, amazing. So it's a Disney film. It's called Zootopia in the UK, but Zootropolis in the US. And it is basically a film that follows the story of a young bunny who wants to be a police officer. But throughout her journey, she moves to the big city. She has all these trials and tribulations, and it just shows her trying to like defeat the odds and like be the best cop there is out there. And honestly, it's one of my favorite films ever. Like the way that it talks about discrimination, but from the lens of like animals and predator versus prey, is really, really interesting, because it's something that we're all aware of. It's something that's been present since the dawn of time. It's literally evolution. But how they encapsulated it in a show, in a film that was for younger audiences, 10/10. And it's so funny. Do you know what my favorite scene is?
It's got to be the sloth,
when they're
surely.
Chasing. Oh, okay. So that's number 2. Do you know what was my first favorite scene? My favorite scene is when they're chasing that crackhead rat.
Oh my God,
City. You know how because the crackhead rat has all, I think, either has the jewels or has some possessions or has something that the bunny wants. It's like it's a big thing. But this rat is literally like a crackhead. It's like sniffing. It's like it's all like bugging out and stuff.
Yeah.
And you see this rat literally run through all of these different worldviews, and it's honestly one of the funniest. Like, I was crying with laughter.
So good, so good. It's amazing. And yeah, and is that the same with the donut, where like the donut falls like through the city, and the like little mice like nearly get crushed by the donut,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
And it's so funny because literally, like, in so like there's loads of animals in this film. It's literally called Zootopia, and you see how the animals are accommodated to in their environments. So you see like an igloo city, or you see like a desert island, or you see like an Amazon, or you see like all these different places that are like that are space for all these animals to live. But when this crackhead rat is running, it's literally going through all these different environments, and then there's this one environment that is specifically made for like really really small mice, and there's a donut that's like coming down, falling on all these small cars, nearly hitting this small mouse, but the bunny saves the small mouse, and oh my goodness, it's so funny. I honestly recommend everyone and anyone to see it. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We were in the Divine, so I'm going to talk about that. Where were we up to? Zootopia.
So the crackhead rat, yeah.
Sorry, the way that you said that made me laugh. But yeah, the crackhead rat, so funny. Just chasing through town to town to town, and you see it go from all these spaces to collect its goods, and it's just so cheeky and sly. And yeah I think that's one of my favourite scenes from the film. So definitely recommend everyone seeing it. What are your what's your nomination for the Divine?
I'm a huge fan of Disney and animation in general, but I do think that I have to say, as we are on the topic of animation, that my favourite film is, and the thing I'd like to nominate for the Divine is Bolt, which is a really underrated, underestimated Disney film. It's for anyone that doesn't know, it's about a dog who thinks that he has superpowers, only to find out that he is part of a TV show that he has been led to believe that he is actually living real life with these like super crazy like villains and stuff, and he has to save his owner Penny, who is his owner in real life but also in the show. But basically he ends up accidentally getting carted away to the other side of America while he's trying to be a superhero, and soon realizes that the lightning bolt on his fur is just paint. But the thing that really sits so well with me with Bolt is that it's the moral compass of no matter what he goes through and how like traumatic it is for him that he spent his whole life thinking that he is a superhero, to find out that he's not. He never stops giving up to go and find Penny and save her from whatever she might be going through on the other side of the world. For him, really, like for him to travel across America is a massive feat. So I just think that the courage and the bravery and the like self-motivation to, obviously I'm talking about dog here, in animation, but still like all of those things are things that I take with me in my life. And that's like, never stop trying to get to where you want to get, because no matter what hurdles you come across, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Put your mind to it. That's exactly what Bolt does. And that is exactly the answer I said in my Disney interview that ends up getting me to Disney World. So yeah, like I do think like it's like, I think there's so much greatness around that story, and people really need to give it a better shot. Also, Miley Cyrus is in it, and I love Miley Cyrus. So
yeah, no, honestly, that was such a lovely nomination. I've watched Ball quite a few times, but after you spoke on it, it's actually made me appreciate it a bit differently, because like this idea of like not giving up, I think it's very loud to me at the moment, but like it's reoccurring in every Disney film or every animation film or every kids film, like I don't know why, but like Stuart Little just came into my head really quickly. And Stuart Little wasn't even animation. Stuart Little was literally about a mouse who is trying to find their own in a family which is accepting of them, but the world doesn't accept them, And it's not giving up on yourself and being your own biggest fan and being your own biggest supporter. which is amazing. So thank you for that. So much to be said. You know what?
Yeah.
This is a perfect moment to take it to Decoding the Messes, which is another segment that we do where we unpack mess, which is online or offline. And today, which the episode is all about animation, I wanted to talk about this idea of like how people undermine animation. Let's start with there. So people sometimes undermine animation. They think animation just might be for kids, but that's not the case. Animation is literally a genre. Animation is an art form, and it is a medium which explores so many different things. Like, you can't say Fantastic Mr. Fox and bloody Zootopia in the same bracket, or you can't say that like Finding Nemo and Shrek are the same thing, you know, like they're very, very, very different. They're different worlds, and you know, I just love it.
It's amazing. I like obviously going to speak about like so many different things in this conversation, but it needs to be appreciated. And I do think over the years, like, we have come to appreciate it more, even with things like The Simpsons and Family Guy being like adult, in quotation marks, adult animation. But like, it's so varied. There's so much going on in that art form that we need to appreciate.
No, you're right. Like, even when you said those two shows, my first thought was Rick and Morty, and how Rick and Morty is such a popular show because Rick and Morty, they literally talk nonsense all the time, but then they talk about philosophy, but then they talk about so many like dark humor that makes you realize that nothing is really that deep. Like, you can watch an episode on Rick and Morty and it can encourage you to realize not to be so hard on yourself when you're choosing your fate. Like right now, I'm thinking of the episode when Morty's trying to make his find the future, but he's using like these crystals to like guide him. And he's like, oh, but I want to be with her, and he keeps getting himself in such messery just because he's not going to choose for himself. He wants to like choose in relation to what would be the better outcome depending on this crystal. And like that sort of suggests that it needs to be something outside of you to move forward, which isn't the case. You just have to find it for yourself. And like, definitely, Rick and Morty, it's one of those shows where it's so aggressive and so funny and so strange that you can't it's not deep. It encourages you not to think that things are deep. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it comes down to like escapism thing again, doesn't it? Of like we can watch something and almost just find innocence or like happiness out of something. Don't get me wrong, that like with Zootopia, for example, there's so many meaningful topics in that, but something like Rick and Morty can just be an escape from everything for a second and be like, okay, this is fun. I'm allowed to have fun without thinking of the world and all the craziness is going on for a hot second, you know?
And those shows are so important. Even though this is an animation, I'm just going to mention this show quickly. Have you watched Superstore?
Yes, I love Superstore so much.
I'm obsessed with that show. It's hilarious because, like, with someone who has so much retail and hospitality experience, or even the fact that, like, my last job was retail, you wouldn't expect me to finish my shift to then go watch something about retail.
Yeah.
But I was obsessed with it. I loved it because it even gave me that escapism of hilarious, like, just laughter, like, literally belly laughing. My favorite character is Dina. I think she's the sales assistant we all wanted to be, but we was too scared of losing our jobs. She's like, honestly, it's when she gets in beef with her colleagues. Do you know what she says? She goes, your booze fuel me. I was like, your booze fuel me. I love that energy. I love it.
So good, literally. I'm a sucker for a main character, so I do love Amy, and also I love America Ferrera anyway from Ugly Betty. But oh my god, it's just so good. And like you said, it's again that escapism. Like, I've done a lot of like hospitality and retail experience. I had a lot of hospitality and retail experience as well. But it's that relatability to ridiculousness that allows you to escape from the actual stuff. Like, you go into like you said, you can't go into work and be like, kick things off the shelf if you have a bad time. Literally.
It's when Dina and Jonah have beef and Dina's like, oh, can you clean the mess on R7? And they're on R7. She's like, what mess? And she just throws everything on the floor.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, Dina from like I've worked in so many. I worked in cosmetics. I worked in retail, like clothes stores. I've worked in bougie restaurants. I've worked in shitty restaurants. And honestly, Dina is the energy that you need. Dina is the customer, not customer. She's the sales assistant that's always rooting for the store.
Agreed.
Oh my goodness! But look at me scattering away with people that are real life.
Live action,
about live action. Boo! This is an animation podcast. But yes, to go back to that rateability and go back to that sort of escapism, I love the fact that like animation provides you a universe to explore that. Like, I sometimes like go on these YouTube binge holes on watching like voice actors, and I can't actually remember the name of the voice actor who I was watching, but she explained the art form so beautifully. She was just basically saying how like if you're a voice actor, you have to have a whole universe that's separate from each other to each character. So you could have what do they like to dress in? What do they like to wear? Where are they hanging out outside of school? Where do their parents live? What's their environment look like? What does their universe look like? That needs to be completely separate identity compared to the other voice that you're advocating for, to the other voice that you're advocating for. And in that same wavelength, you can even suggest that like, you can say that this voice actor has multiple universes in them because they're encouraging and they're developing different universes for these characters to develop. Like, oh, you know what? I'm going to find the name of the woman and then I'll let you know. But I just found it so interesting. What do you think?
I think that, like, I think what you're saying is exactly right, because as much as, say, Toy Story, for example, we've got Tom Hanks and Tim Allen playing Buzz and Woody. We don't go to watch the movie because it's Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, but we can appreciate that they are the voices. We wouldn't want them to be replaced. But then I'd go and watch a live action movie because Jennifer Lawrence is in the movie, you know? Like I'd follow a catalogue of like Tom Cruise, Jennifer Lawrence, like
literally
however many like live action actors, because they are going to give you that same level of performance. But when it comes to voice, it's not about the person, it's about the character and the universe they're in, like you said. So you have to fully integrate yourself into that world. When you're in animation, you're no longer like hidden behind this facade of Oscar nominations and like Twitter like personalities and stuff like that. You are literally this brand new character every time in this brand new universe, and you completely have to immerse yourself in it.
No, you're completely right. Like, I'm just looking for the voice actor that I was looking for, and her name is the interview that I was just talking about, and her name is Tara Lynn Strong. She, her roles, she's got honestly such an extensive like list. I'm just going to read a few: Teen Titans, Rugrats, The Powerpuff Girls, The Fairy Odd Parents, Ben 10, DC Superhero Girls, Blue Dragon, and Batman. Like, she's 48, right? And she has been doing voice acting since where does it doesn't actually come up on here now. But so her first major cartoon role was at the age of 13 in Hello Kitty's Fairy Tale Theatre, right? So if she's 48 and her first role was since she was 13, you could even, it's infinite universes. Like, she is a person who I assume still wants to work in this profession. And that's just more opportunities and more characters to develop. And I think that is so amazing. The fact that she's able to be one vessel to multiple individuals, multiple art forms. Like,
it's ageless, isn't it? It's ageless.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Tom Hanks couldn't. I keep going back to that because that's just an example I've got. But let's even say like Ellen DeGeneres playing Dory in Finding Nemo. Like, if this was real life, she wouldn't be able to play Dory 13 years ago and then play Dory 5 minutes later, 13 years later. You know, because we do age. That's life. But with animation, the possibilities are truly endless, especially with technology like steaming ahead all the time. And I think it's fantastic how honestly, it is an endless like you said, lifestyle really, and career.
One of my favorite voice actors who's also like an actress is Regina King. Yeah, Regina King. So she's an American actress. But have you ever watched The Boondocks?
No.
So The Boondocks is a program that's African American centered. It's very like quote unquote like controversial. It's very like it's funny, it's hilarious. It was very like forthcoming for what it was. So like in the 2000s, that's when it came out, and they used the word like because it's like African American centered, like the way that they use the word like Negro, or the way that they use the word like hose, like do you know what I mean? Like all of these words that are like sort of in African quote unquote African American music were in this show. It's an adult show, obviously. It's an adult show in America, and Regina King is a black woman, a black African American woman who voices the main two characters. So it's literally amazing because like you'll see an interview of her, or you'll see her in the studio, and the two main characters are brothers, and she'll just be going back and forth to the brothers, and it's insane. She's literally so talented, and so just the way that she's able to manipulate her voice and able to showcase that diversity, or that like honestly, I'll show you a clip after I watch this of like the two main characters arguing, and you think the two main characters are arguing, but they're being voiced by the same person. How are they doing that?
Yeah, no, like, and also you said they were brothers, right? This is by a woman as well. Like it defies the norms of what we can do in live action, because again, like the possibilities are endless. And also like that, I just want to say at that point, it frustrates me so much that the only award that is given out like as a mainstream award at the largest film ceremonies is best animation. I'm like, hang on, but what about all this other stuff you're giving awards for live action movies, when actually a live action movie might take 2 years to make? And animation, like Mitchell versus the Machines that I spoke to you about when we spoke previously, that took 8 years from start to finish. Like these movies take years and like someone's entire career sometimes to create, and yet we give one award out for it. It's so bad.
But I honestly think that like hopefully at some point, let me manifest. Me and you are going to host the show. We're going to host the award show, because just imagine if there was just an animation award show, like specifically just for animation.
Yeah, there should be.
Sick. That'd be sick.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
I love. I want to bring it back again to the Boondocks, because that show was so eye-breaking for its age. Like it was so timeless. Like I remember the show came out in 2000, right? And in that show, there was a whole episode of why one of the brothers, I can't remember if it's Huey or the other brother, he's more into like his social justice. Like he's just very forward thinker, and he like really takes on influence by the African-American people that walked before him. And there was this episode literally in 2000 where people were listening to R. Kelly music, and he was going mad being like, you can't be listening to R. Kelly music, da, 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 like all of this stuff. And then there was this whole scene about it, and the whole episode was literally based on how we give attention, we give love to stars that don't actually need it. They have their own support system. But why is that episode coming out in literally 2003? And our first documentary about the allegations behind R. Kelly came out 2015, 16. Because this is the thing, like, don't get me wrong, everyone's different. And I feel like within the Black community, we're able to I like the Boondocks because it was an opportunity for the Black community to hold a narrative, but it also makes me frustrated because it's like the Black people, the Black community, the Boondocks were literally talking about this in 2000. We were talking about this in 2000, and now everybody's shook because they got a Netflix documentary in 2017. Like you could have.
It comes to that underrepresented genre, though. Again, doesn't it? Like there's a reason why it's not being seen, and that's because people put animation down to either something really silly like South Park or something that's just childish that people call a Disney film. And at the end of the day, that's not the case. Like animation is telling so much more importance than just like a family that. I'm like The Simpsons, you know? But
it's true. But then you could even flip us on its head and people could be like, oh, a bit, not snooty, but then people could be very like, judgmental of what animation that you're viewing. So let's say they were just watching Studio Ghibli and they were there for the art and the creativity. Now I can't talk to you about my Disney stuff because you're going to judge me. And like that shouldn't be the case. Animation was literally an art form to produce the content. Like one of my favorite fucking Disney films to this day is both the Goofy films. So
so good.
The one when they went, to be fair, I always confuse the two films. There's this one, I want to say that they went on a road trip, and there's another one where there was a camp.
Yes, we've got a very Goofy movie. Oh God, now you've got me questioning myself.
Well, either way.
It's been a long time.
But those films are beautiful. Those films, I think they're recorded in the 1990s or the 1980s. But because it's such a, because it was such a long time ago in regards to like technology, they actually drew every single scene and like analyzed that scene into production by film. So like just imagine drawing it, taking a picture of it on film, and then producing moving images with them. Crazy. And like, that, because obviously, like if the same characters, let's say if they wanted to make the same film, they would never look exactly like that because it's iconic, because it shows you the evolution of animation. It shows you the evolution of like how things have grown and how things have, how we've been able to use technology to heighten animation. But then simple animation is cute. Like, did you ever watch Daria?
No.
It's a cartoon, but it's a very simple animation, literally like a face, 2 dots for eyes, smile. And it's very like, it can be quite bland sometimes, but also it's very like insightful and funny and like just really like, it's weird because even though it's an American show, I get a lot of British humour vibes from it.
Yeah, and you know, I think like sometimes it proves that you don't need, like, as much as I appreciate massive Pixar productions, but sometimes it doesn't need to be this whole like glitzy, glamorous, shiny production. It can be really simplistic to be expressive and to tell a story. No, for sure. And like, it actually makes me feel so amazed by how far we've come. Like we're only young, but animation we've experienced the best of it. We've got like pre-noughties, and then we've got all like Tom and Jerry to now.
Pinky and the Brain. We've got Pinky and the Brain.
Love, dream.
What are some of your favourite British animations?
Oh, now that's a question.
Yeah, man, because that's the thing. This is something that I realise a lot in animation world. Like, there's a lot of in anything we always talk about America. Let's talk about Britain.
Yeah, I'm just trying to go through my head to think like, oh God, what is British? Okay, so obviously one of the best, which Americans probably don't even know, is Arthur. Is he an aardvark? Is he like a bear?
Is Arthur British?
Yeah.
I did not know that. No.
I don't think he is.
No, if he is. We can check. But like, I didn't know Arthur. I loved Arthur growing up. I loved it.
Oh my God, everyone's going to be like, this boy is so stupid.
No, not
it's actually Canadian. So I'm halfway there. But still not British.
That's quite funny.
I'm typing in British animation on Google because I obviously know them, but now I'm getting confused.
No, it's fine. Well, I'm going to start with a massive one, which is literally like iconic to Britain. Wallace and Gromit. Big up yourself.
So good.
Wallace and Gromit, big up yourself. I can't remember the name. Me and you literally scurrying away to find out the names of the people that we're quoting. But Wallace and Gromit, like, big up yourselves. This is literally, it was created by Nick Park and Aardman Animations. Where do I start? The films, the short films, the movies. It's literally like, they make the animals out of clay. Can we just play that?
I was going to say, there's one thing drawing like a piece of art and then bringing it to life through like several drawings is a completely other thing. So like I couldn't make one thing out of clay. So let alone like have to constantly move these things to make it happen, right?
I remember when I'm such an animation nerd. Like I'll watch the film and then I'll watch the featurette, and then I'll watch interviews on how it's done and stuff. And I remember I was watching this interview about Wallace and Gromit, and it was when the film, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit came out.
Yes.
And that is iconic. And I remember they were talking about filming this specific scene, but because obviously everything's in clay, they have to move their arm, let's say a figure's arm, every 1 second. So they'll move it, take a picture, move it, take a picture, move it, take a picture. And then by the time they've got, let's say 50 pictures, my man Wallace is moving, and it's just
yeah,
it's crazy because the Curse of the Were-Rabbit, that's a funny film, but it's also it's also a new film. One of my favorite old films, like a short featurette from Wallace and Gromit, was have you seen the Wrong Trousers?
Wrong Trousers. I'm getting, because the one that sticks out to me is A Grand Day Out. That's the one that sticks to me.
Oh, I forgot about A Grand Day Out, but The Wrong Trousers is with the penguin, the naughty penguin, who tries and steals, who makes the trousers so Wallace can fit in them to steal some jewelry. And that whole I think it was made in either the 90s or the noughties, but that whole film is practically silent. Wallace is the only person who's talking, but Wallace, he's only talking about bloody crackers and cheese.
Yeah, Wensleydale, yeah.
Exactly. Wallace is just present. And that whole film, I think it's only 10 minutes long or 15 minutes long, but it's so funny because it brings the animation and mixed with the music and the facial expressions. It just makes it so much more interesting and funny.
Do you mentioned Penguin there, and I another one that does come to mind is Pingu. I don't know if you watched Pingu when you were younger. There are times when I'm feeling down and I think, what can I watch that's going to make me feel better? And I just put on Pingu compilations because it's just so ridiculous that there's no speaking in the whole show, is there? Was there a narrator on it or something? Maybe I think.
So. Oh no, I think there was a narrator actually.
And he might have just said at the start something, but then obviously Pingu
and his mum, it literally.
Yeah, exactly. And just the baby just crying all the time, and it's just such. When we think what's weird is that I think, like you said, even my mind went blank when you said British animation. I was like, oh my God, all I can think is Disney, DreamWorks, Illumination Presents, all of these different ones. But we have got Wallace and Gromit, we've got Chicken Run, Pingu, all of these crazy movies that are cult movies for us as British people.
Yeah. Do you know another great British classic? The Cramp Twins.
I don't think I ever watched the Cramp Twins.
Oh, so the Cramp Twins literally followed a story of these two boys. And I remember the show because it was on ITV and I always used to watch it before 4:30 after school. And the Cramp Twins were about, to be fair, was it a mix between British and America? It might have been, but I don't know. But the Cramp Twins, it was follow the story of these two boys. One of the boys was quite cute. He was quite... not innocent, but he was a very followed the rules. And then you had his brother, who was born immediately after, who was naughty. He was purple. I don't know why they made him purple, but he was literally purple. And he was always being a menace. He was just teased. Oh my God, I just remembered something.
Dennis the Menace.
Dennis the Menace.
Oh my God, you just cracked it. That's the one. That's the one. I'm Sauce Cramp Twins, we got your back, but Dennis, you are no, I was such a goody two-shoes at school, so I just lived any sort of naughty thoughts obviously in the innocent sense, but naughty thoughts out in through Dennis's life. I was one day I guess I could do something naughty like him, but I'd never actually do it. His tree house, his dog, it was just crazy.
Yeah, no, he was always beefing. He always had something to do. He was always teasing someone, and it's just hilarious because it shows you how it just shows you how influential it was in our childhood. Look at the people who've got the visuals, who are watching the visuals today, are going to be so happy because look at our faces when we just look at Dennis. We were wow, I like that.
Yeah. Dennis. I don't know if you ever went to Chesington World of Adventures when
I
you were
never
younger.
got to the chance.
but they had this, like, it was called Beano Land, and Beano was obviously like the franchise that Dennis Menace was a part of, and they've changed it all now. And I was literally there a couple of weeks ago, and it was so sad walking around, and like they've turned it into this really cool like Asian like theming with like this massive like cobra snake, and it's very like dark. But I'm also like, give me Dennis's treehouse back. Like, it was just so fun. And I think again it comes down to like these shows were there just to give us that fun feeling. All of the ones we just mentioned, I think anyway, like especially something like Dennis, that even if you weren't a naughty kid, like it was okay to watch a naughty kid do naughty things, because this isn't real life, you know, this is just a bit of fun.
No, for sure. And I think it just shows you that like we said at the start, that childhood curiosity, isn't it? It's like, oh, what's Dennis doing over there? And
exactly.
Like, you're living vicariously, but also like you see it's a different way of living. And I think that like that relatability, that accessibility, like gave us room for language. It gave us room for thought. Like it gave us room for happiness as well. Like I'm literally smiling since you mentioned Dennis the Menace, because I'm just like,
well, it's when you said Menace and I was like, wait, it was a light bulb, wasn't it?
But both of us had a Eureka moment, honestly. If I ever get this editing down, I'm going to put that in an editing moment, because that was probably sick.
Here for it.
Oh no, that's amazing. So I'm just going to go back to the notes really quickly. So actually, I might put that in the chat box so I don't have to keep on looking back on the email. But no, I think that from what we've been talking about today, we just realized that animation is literally for everyone.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, what would you say to the people who don't think that?
I think you need to sort of reevaluate your whole life, because I'm like it really, I mean, my mum is a culprit for it. That's not me telling my mum to reevaluate her whole life as well. Like,
sorry, mama.
But yeah, I just think that it's okay to enjoy something that's not serious, something that's not or like at least not serious in the forefront. Just because something is animated or has like initial child context to it doesn't mean that you're not going to enjoy it. Take that moment to realize that, okay, we're allowed to be kids whenever we want. And this comes back to me being a massive Disney fan and Disney parks fan as well, that like and people have exactly the same views on the Disney parks as they do about animation in general, that this is for kids. Like, why would I go to Disney? It's for children. Like, that's absolutely not the case. You are only as much of an adult as you allow yourself to be. Other than that, we've all been through the same experiences. We've all been through a childhood that may have like not been the best time, or may have been the best time ever. But take them good bits and allow them to live through these animations that, like I said, take years and years and years to make, with these incredible stories that are scripted, like even more so than a live action movie, because there has to be so much more focus on what is being told. So I just think, honestly, like I said, reevaluate that opinion of animation isn't for everyone, because it is. It really is. It just allows us to be who we want to be when we're watching it. There's no, like, we're not judging the way someone looks because it is animated. It's not a real person.
Literally.
We are just focused on the storyline and the universe that we're in, and we allow ourselves to enter that completely.
You know what? That is a great segue to my next recommendation. Have you watched Soul?
Yes, of course, I've watched Soul. Oh my God.
Oh, that is a beautiful animation. And for those people who think animation might not be for them, watch Soul. Watch Soul, because I think like that is such a good program for, no, it's not, I keep on saying programs, but like that's such a good film for kids, adults, authenticity, passion, accessibility. I don't want to spoil too much for anybody who hasn't seen it, but this film literally follows a jazz player who wants to make his big break. However, he gets lost in he gets lost in the universe. Let's just say that he gets lost in the universe. But I loved that show because, like I said to you before about animation having voice actors having multiple universes for their characters to live in. So did this show. So the show gave you visual stimuli, visual depiction of what that actually means. Like, I'm a spiritual babe, but to most spiritual people in my community, they probably think I'm too logical, from where I'm like, well, not necessarily, but like I can even see it in myself. Like I'm very hesitant on what shit I want to talk about because I'm like, but if I see it, then I'll believe it, innit? And like with Soul, it gave me confidence to know that there's something outside of me that is present, but I can't see it, and that's okay. And you just have to try your best with what you have.
Definitely, 100%. I mean, Soul for me came at a really crucial time. And again, some people might listen to this, or even conversations I had with people before, and I might say something like this, and I'll think, you're watching a cartoon, you're watching a kid's film, what do you mean this has had that influence? But I don't want to be as bold to say that Soul saved my life, but it was one of those films that after watching it, I really sat down and thought, hang on a second, why am I constantly looking for something that is right now unreachable and not just enjoying the moment I'm in, you know? Mm-hmm. It is, again, I don't want to spoil too much about the film, but it is really about taking a step back and thinking, we spend so much time as adults looking for purpose and looking for something that is going to tick a box and make us feel fulfilled, only to get to that point and then realize, hang on, I spent all that time getting to this point. Now I want the next thing up. Because that's just, as human beings, that's what we do. We are always looking for that next best like outfit, the next best amount of followers on Instagram, the next best holiday, the next best promotional job.
Honestly, you're right.
And at the end of the day, we waste so much time doing that. We forget to actually enjoy the moment that we're in. And for me, that film just did exactly what I needed it to do in my head. I've had so many, and I think that so many of us have had so many mental health issues over the past year. And for a film that isn't even directly based on mental health, it's not like Inside Out, for example, where it is. It's not like it doesn't even focus really on on depression or anything like that. But like subcontextually, it really is all about that.
You are honestly nail on the head. You've got films like Inside Out, which tells you about emotional intelligence, but you've got a film like Soul that tells you about being present and being an energy, really.
Yeah.
Because like, without spoiling it, you know, Soul, the main character's partner.
Yeah.
The main character's part. Yeah, the main character's part.
She's called 32, I think.
I think she's called 32, yeah. 32, who's been about it for a while. Like, even seeing 32's development in the fact that, like, they deserve to be here, you know? Yeah. And, like, that's another thing that we do as humans. Imposter syndrome, we don't think we can, but we can. Yeah. Of course we can.
And we put mental blocks up because, like you said, we don't think we deserve it. And we absolutely do, but we can, and there's things right now in my life that I'm struggling with that I just get so in my own head about. And I'm like, and we try so hard to get out of it, but that's just a vicious cycle because then we're like, oh, wait, no, because like it literally goes back to that thought of like, no, I'm not deserving of this like happiness or this exact thing in my life. And it's like, no, you are. But then you go back to like, no, I'm not. And that is just mental health for you at the end of the day. I could like talk about that forever, but it's really wholesome to know, again, no spoilers, wholesome to know that there is a journey that all of us can go through if we allow ourselves to get past that initial mental block.
Yeah, and like it's interesting that you said that because in conversations outside of this, I've been talking about invisible rules, how we all have invisible rules that we put on inside our head that we do and we don't do, and we move accordingly, all these conditions. And who put those conditions up? You did, not as in you, but like I put my conditions up for myself. You put your conditions up for yourself. The next man put conditions up for themselves. And once we realize that those conditions are malleable, they can bloody move. Like maybe they helped us in high school, but they don't help us now. You know?
Yeah.
Like there's all these different reasons to why we need to be open, and animation, particularly this film, allows you that. So no, honestly, like this has been great.
Go and watch it. Like if you haven't watched it, I've literally watched it, I want to say 5 or 6 times since it's been released. And I don't do that with films. I'm not like an avid rewatcher. Like my sister watches everything like 10 times and I'm just like, no, like on to the next thing. But this film just hit me so hard. And I just even wanted to give the the creatives the time that it deserved to really process
Honestly,
what was going on, because there's so much going on. And it's
like,
funny as well. It's not a sad film. It's hilarious. I literally laughed through the whole thing.
I was laughing and then I was crying and then I was like, oh my God. Do you know what scene shook me? You know when one of those beings, I'm not going to say much, one of those beings are in the crisp packet?
Yes.
Everybody who's a spiritual person, watch that film, right? And you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. That's how you feel when you're doing shadow work. That's how you feel when you are understanding that there's more to the world than just this bloody physical shit. And it's so weird because, I mean, I don't know, so many people do different things to watch it. Some people do bloody drugs, some people watch animations. Everybody has a different thing to realize that there's so much in this world that is unseen, and animation gives you the relationship with that. Oh, you know what? We're talking so much in Decoding the Messes and I'm loving it, but I think we're going to have to wrap up this segment with some of our favourite recommendations, because I know we can talk like there's no tomorrow.
Literally.
On the back of that, I want to recommend Coco, because Coco is a beautiful film that
Get your tissues out though.
I cried, I laughed, I was hurt, I was shouting at the telly like, go on, do it then. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was such a good program. No, why do I even do this? It's even the same programs. But that film was iconic. I also think, like, from a spiritual perspective, like, I think anybody who wants to learn about grief, watch that film. Whether that's an adult or a child. I mean, if the fact that Coco is, I guess, a kid's film, quote unquote, it's like so beautiful that children now have that to watch if they ever experience someone that they lose, you know? So that's what I'm kind of like grateful for. But I'm also grateful for about this idea of respecting the dead and respecting like your ancestors, because we all hear that in life, whether that's in your spiritual relationships, whether that's your family, your relatives, or whatever. But I didn't I mean, I knew of it, but when I watched Coco, I could see it. You know, like I could actually see how this relates to that. Like, it wasn't just me praying to my nan anymore. It was me valuing what she taught me here and what she's doing past, you know?
It also makes, I speak about this with some of the guests on my podcast, that as much as obviously I love the Disney company so much, they have been very, it's been a tough time when it comes to diversifying their catalogue, I think. And to see a film like Coco come out and appreciate the Mexican culture and like celebrate Day of the Dead, because it is such a celebrated holiday that should be more well known. I was very naive. I didn't know what it was until I watched Coco. But again, animation allows us to educate ourselves on these incredible journeys that different cultures go through. And I'm so glad that films like Coco, Princess and the Frog, Moana are coming to the forefront that allow us to experience more than just some random American princess, which, don't get me wrong, they're valid. I'm not saying they're not, but there has to be room for everyone. And if you are going to the cinema, if you're going to a Disney park and watching a parade, every person deserves to look up and see someone that they can see in themselves, rather than just someone that looks like the rest of the world. No,
for sure. Honestly, that was such that is beautiful what you said.
Still waiting for Disney's first gay prince, but you know,
do you know what I mean? Moana, that's a great film. Definitely recommend. I've got another recommendation, but I want to hear your recommendations as well.
Yeah. So something that I watched really recently, and I do stick to my Disney quite a lot. Like when it comes to animation, I'm probably not as broad as I should be. I do give things a go, but I'm always like, it wasn't Disney though, was it? But I mean, I do like, I love DreamWorks, I love Illumination, I love Studio Ghibli, I love like all of these independent guys that make these incredible films, like Kubo and the Two Strings, I think it was called, that won the Oscar Animation Award a few years ago. But one film I watched recently was called The Mitchells versus the Machines, which was absolutely insane. It's a Sony production. I can't remember the main creative's name, annoyingly, but it's on Netflix, and it basically follows this unconventional family who basically help save the world from the robot apocalypse. And like, it was a perfect mix for me of like, I'm a huge like apocalypse fan. I don't want it to happen, but I'm like, give me Walking Dead, A Quiet Place, like all of these things. I'm like, I'm all here for it.
It's like you don't want it to happen, but if it does happen, you're prepared.
Oh, I'm so prepared. I've like watched everything out there. So I'm like zombies, robots, like aliens, I'm there. Like,
it's so funny. It's so funny because you're the third person. Like, so I've spoken to you like briefly about that, but Rebecca, who's also been on this podcast, would know what to do if we have an apocalypse. My brother, who hasn't been on this podcast, but I'd like him to, he would know what to do if there's a zombie apocalypse. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I respect it.
Exactly. And yeah, it was again like talking about those adult themes in a less serious world, mainly I guess because it isn't live action, so it's not as quote unquote scary. But it was just a perfect mix of like comedy, like action, serious themes about family that really makes you consider how you treat your family at the end of the world. And that puts things into perspective. But also that like I don't know what the animation is called, like what the type of animation is called, but it's so beautiful to watch. It's very vivid, very colourful, and just an all-round beautiful production. But the other one I want to mention, which isn't actually Disney either, because I think everyone knows I love every Disney film that's ever been released. But I'm a huge fan of Coraline. I don't know if you've seen Coraline.
Yes, Coraline.
For me, that was one of my first animation films. Is that
Tim Burton?
Tim Burton, yeah.
Tim Burton's British. There you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. Sorted. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal film. It's a little bit scary, and I like a horror film or thriller, like that sort of vibe. So really great storyline, and also shows that animation hasn't always got to be happy-go-lucky. It can be creepy as well.
Yes.
And I love that. Again, it's diversifying the genre. It's saying, no, we're not just going to give you like happy songs and love stories. We're going to talk about like how there are other universes within this universe, and like there's evil people out there, which again, relatable, you know?
No, for sure. Like, that was actually amazing, and thank you, because like those recommendations are definitely things that I want to watch. For my last recommendation to showcase maybe adult animation to showcase queer representation is Harley Quinn. Have you watched it?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Harley Quinn. So people might have their own connotations with what Harley Quinn is because of, DC, the Marvel world, the like superhero world. Like, I'm not here to change your mind, do you? But I'm here to tell you that Harley Quinn, the animation by DC, is one of the best animations that I have seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
It follows the story of Harley Quinn after she tries and separates herself from the Joker. She lives and becomes to love Poison Ivy, and it is one of the funniest but aggressive and beautiful and eye-catching stories that there is out there. I'd say if you want to compare it to anything in like maybe violence-wise or like color-wise, I'd say Rick and Morty, just because there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of swearing, and there's just a lot of like attitude. But I love it because it's women-centered, it's relatable, it is iconic, and it's honestly.
And like you said, the queer representation again, like it's something that is so even in live action, but also more so in animation. It's slowly but surely coming out of the woodworks. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with hitting the fast forward button, in my opinion. And a production like that can really like get us ready for whatever's to come next, I think.
But I love it as well because it's like, with that show particularly, Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, they're together. Like, that's what the comics encourage. There's actually a card called the Lovers in tarot, and the Lovers talks about choices. It talks about alignment of values, and it talks about fertilizing your ground, but in a environment that is mutual, that is nurturing, that is comfortable. And that card is related to Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn because of like the fact that they care for each other, but their dualities make them learn from each other. Not duality, their polarities make them learn from each other because they're very, very different people. It's funny because I think I saw a tweet the other day actually being like, Poison Ivy's out here trying to kill billionaires, save the planet, and you guys have beef with her. Do you know what I mean? Like she would be a superhero in all of our eyes in this world, because it was in a male-dominated space, she was getting beefed with. Like,
literally.
She's a G. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I just think
we stand Poison Ivy.
We stand Poison Ivy. Literally. You know what? When I post this picture, when I post this episode, I actually did this whole look with Poison Ivy a couple of maybe like October now, but it's honestly like one of my favorite things. I love Poison Ivy so much. I was about to show you the picture, but I remembered I deleted Instagram. So I'll show you another day. Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am currently saging, and that means we're going to have a tarot reading. This is Bradley's first tarot reading, guys.
I'm nervous.
No, you don't have to be nervous. It's exciting. And I think like I was just saying earlier, like I love tarot because it gives you perspective. Like I can show you a card and now that's just another way of looking at something, whether you decide to take it upon yourself or not. It's just the perspective, and I really appreciate that with tarot. So I'm just burning some cards. I hope that this message resonates with you whenever you get the chance to read it. I hope that I can be a vessel, a communicator, a translator from spirit, from divine to listeners and to Bradley today. I also ask for no projections as I show up in the state as I am. And I'm a baby girl that's divinely protected. So let's have a beautiful reading. So earlier, me and Bradley were talking about how we want to encourage more child play into our lives, but we also were talking about how can we take action to diversifying this field as well, aren't we? So I'm going to pull some cards, and if you could just really think of that intention, and if I could just really think of that intention, and we'll just see what the cards have to say, okay? So, I'm going to go with this deck first, okay? So, Spirit, Higher Power, Universe, how can I bring more play into my life? Okay. How can I bring more play? Ooh. Okay, so for the first two cards we got is the Temperance and the Queen of Cups. And this is such creative energy. So I'll start with the Temperance first. Temperance is a card that is a major arcana. This means that it's an overarching energy in your life. This is an overarching theme in our lives. And Temperance encourages you to strengthen your spiritual connection. So maybe you see how these individuals are like it's like one cup's going to like one cup, right? Yeah. And that's like alchemy. That's like the exchange. Like, how can I bring one thing over there to one thing back over here? So maybe if I find gratitude, find softness by being in nature, right? How am I going to use that nature to make something tangible? That would be a form of alchemy that I'm using or practicing the Temperance mindset. So this individual talks about moderation. It talks about having power, having action larger than yourselves. It talks about sensuality. You see this rainbow here. It talks about being comfortable in your oneness, but also knowing that there's so much power beyond you. That's why the wings are greater. You know, the wings are far larger. But you even see this like road, this pathway. So it's like you're going on the right track. You're going through you're going on your journey and you're trying something new to expand your creation. However, it's going to take a bit more of a push for you to get out of your comfort zone. But I think you should meet this with a softness, because the Queen of Cups is a therapist. She is a spiritual counselor. She's an intuitive baby girl. She's a mother. These words that I just said might relate to you, but it could just be a relationship that you need to adopt with yourself, because the Queen of Cups is very nurturing and she's very protecting, but she's protecting her feelings and she's protecting her relationships. So if the Queen of Cups is at the bay of this sea, that means that they need to learn how to detach themselves with the collective emotions, just so that they can fill themselves from their own cup, right? So this cup, this vessel of their emotions is beautiful. They're looking at their cup like, wow, like what's this? But sometimes they can get caught in a bit of a mess because they're trying to fill their cup with these contents. And that's when things get sticky, because then they're putting themselves in places which aren't fulfilling. You know, when you have all these errands to do, all these jobs to do, and you're literally just spreading yourself really thin with all the people that you're seeing, with all the jobs that you're working, and the Queen of Cups is like, hold the throne, look after your emotions before they spill out, you know, put that energy that you're so carefully putting into others to yourself so that you can embrace the comfort of your throne. In relation to like child play, in relation to like diversing this field, I want to say that like the Queen of Cups has a very nurturing aspect to her, but she's also quite sensitive. So maybe one way that we can can't speak today. One way that we can, I just noticed she has got bangles in her arms and I've never noticed that before. Mad. But the Queen of Cups, she's very like nurturing, and I feel like this is an opportunity to nurture yourself by dwelling in those creative practices that once brought us joy. So you see how like she has a mermaid next to her, right? But on the original Rider-Waite deck, which most of like these decks are based from, it has a child, it has a little child, and it has a butterfly. So it's relating to your inner child, it's relating to metamorphosis, it's relating to that sort of ever-changing recalibration of yourself so you can walk into the new. And I think that's why the Temperance card came out, because it's like, you've got all this information of what's beyond you, what's before you, what's after you, like, you know, sort of where you're going, but now you just need to use the elements to guide you on your journey. And it's going to take moderation and patience, because, I mean, sunflowers are beautiful, but they take a while to grow. You don't see sunflowers in bloody winter, do you? Because they take time to grow, because they know that they're their season. And it's just being patient and being moderate with yourself. Maybe love's around the corner, because I don't know, I see a lot of like fertile emotions, because like, look, there's like a river here and then there's a river next to it. So maybe like these two are connected. Maybe actually putting yourself in your out of your comfort zone with others might even push more of this, not resurrection, but like push this reflection. But I want to get another card. Please can I have a card for clarification, Spirit? Ooh. Okay. Can I get another card for clarification, Spirit? Actually, can you tell me when to stop? Thank you.
Yeah, stop now.
Okay. You've overgrown so much to be here. Don't give up. That is literally card of the deck, number 13. Let me read. So number 13 says, you were right. This life is tough, yet you are thriving. Always remember that you are made of God stuff, which means that you cannot be broken. Take each moment as it comes and find peace in each one. This is how you keep going. It's just that, because the thing is, like, so in tarot, you have like major arcanas, which are like major themes in your life. So things we're all going to experience. And then you have court cards, which are like cards, personality characteristics that we need to adopt, or like we heard happen when you need them. And then you have minor arcanas, and that's what you need to do. That's details, right? First card we got was major arcana. The second card we got was a court card. And then the third card we got was a minor arcana. And this minor arcana, like, if you look at them, at first you might think they're fighting, but they could be dancing. They could be complementing each other. They could be wondering how they're pulling with and pulling against the natural current of the energy field that they're in. This talks about like spiritual strife, whether that's your own or whether that's outside of you. So you never know, maybe disagreements outside of you might have prompted you to think, oh, what do I want? How am I going to feed myself? How am I going to fill my cup? And how I'm going to use that cup to take me onto the right road, you know, and not on the roads that are energetically more challenging. However, because this card, even what you're talking about at the start of the podcast, don't give up. That's the premise of so many shows in animation. So many, it's like the moral of the story, don't give up, keep on going, just keep on going. Don't be so frustrated by the tests, the rules, the outcomes, the frustrations, because you don't know, all of those might lead to that big moment. And I like this card because you see all these people and all these different outfits that sort of suggests that they're all going different places. Like, and you can't really follow their dress code. Like, what are you wearing? What are you serving? And then that will be your metric. That's what I'm getting from this energy anyway. I don't know how this is relatable back to the card. What was our questions? It was like diversifying the animation field, and it was also about how we can bring more play into our life. I can definitely see the play. Like, I can definitely see that, like, to be more open, to be more receptive to the things that are in front of us, so we can use them into like, well, I mean, for entertainment. So go on.
Is it okay for me to speak at this point, or is it like, I don't know how Terry works? Yeah,
speak,
sure.
Speak.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking that, especially with the obviously, like, I do think that the not giving up card, along with the others, for me, I think obviously, I don't know when this will be released, but today is the 1st of June, so we are in Pride Month in the UK, and I think that it's, when it comes to the diversifying side of things, even like you said, with people wearing different outfits and like, who knows, they might be fighting or dancing. I think that we are all on, like, anybody that is part of a minority group, whether that comes down to race, race, sexuality, whatever that may be, we are on this ever-going journey where we can't give up, because we have got so far in the time that we have been fighting for our right to fit in, that together we are going to eventually make that change happen if we keep doing what we're doing. And that comes down to not giving up. And that doesn't just come down to life, that also comes down to something as small as a genre in a film, or as a creative project, you know, like, when are we going to see the first gay relationship in a Disney animation film? It will happen, but it won't happen if we give up. So we just have to keep doing everything we can to get to that point. And like you said, like, taking what we can to fill ourselves up with that cup for now, and just saying that we will get there. We just have to take everything we can at this moment in time. Don't feel disheartened by the fact that we can't get there as quickly as we want to, and just to keep going.
No, it's actually, you're completely right, because I just realized, like, I was listening to what you said, and then at the corner of my eye, the card was like, Spirit was like, oh, pick up the card and pick up the one underneath it. So I did. How funny is this? Okay, so you can't make this up. It says, I have staying power. The things we truly want in our life require a lot of work, and sometimes sacrifices have to be made. When you are sure of what you desire, you have to hold on tight with all of your heart. The next one underneath, you can't even make this stuff up. I'm pouring into the divine cup that is me. Enjoy the sensuality of giving back to yourself. You, the source of creativity, replenish yourself fully and often.
That is crazy.
Honestly, you can't make this stuff up, because, like, I know recently, like, I've been really struggling with, like, how I see things and how I, like, well, I've been like, my spirit guys, my spirit team, like, don't give up. But I'll be like, sulking about it. Like I'll literally have my grain of faith in my hand and just be walking, even though that's good because like I'm still walking. It's still so like, it's not encouraging. And sometimes like I like having a podcast. I like the fact that I was able to talk to you because you encouraged me to see the encouragement in it. You encouraged me to realize that what the fight is and how we can push forward to making better days for ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is a beautiful reading. I think it also like encourages us to like we're a part of the human experience by just being present, but we need to detach ourselves in a way that is a bit more like intentional. Like I think sometimes like comparing yourself to others can be really indirect. It can be like, it can be so subconscious that you don't even realize that it's present. And I think temperate encourages you to do things by your own metric, but understanding that the people behind you or like what's ever for you won't pass you by, you know? And it's amazing because like the things like X years odd ago, we couldn't be having this conversation, you know?
No.
But now we're showing how we can diversify the conversation. And I think that's really important because it might not feel like it. And I can happily say that, like, I'm one of those people. I'm like, I want my things now. I want change now. I'm sick of this now. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've been waiting for so long. And yeah, that is true. But also, we don't know what's coming around the next corner. Like, we literally don't. And like, time doesn't work in a way that is like, even though time in a sort of methodological sense and like time in the capitalist sense works the same, time isn't really linear. Like you don't know the fact that like, let's say us with our podcast was an opportunity to step out, change a medium, and this podcast might get us to the things that we really, really want in the future.
Exactly.
You know? And like, it's like the fact that like we were living our lives like straight, but then we were like, oh, let's do this. And that might take a step, you know? And it's the fact that like, just be patient with it. Like Spirit, God knows that you're doing so much work and knows that you're putting so much effort into it. So like, trust yourself, believe in yourself, because you're pouring into the divine cup that is you. Look at the drawing as well. It's so sensual. I love it.
Brilliant.
It's hilarious. Brilliant. And like, no, it makes me feel very, very confident for the future. That's a lovely tarot reading. Oh,
loved it. Thank you so much.
No, don't you worry. Like, I'm just happy to be the vessel, you know? Like, I think this tarot reading definitely encourages us to be more creative, and it definitely encourages us to be more patient with ourselves. So it's like, do less, but also like, do you, which I love.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that means it takes us to the last segment of our reading. Oh no, the last segment of the podcast.
Crazy. I never thought we'd get here, Sarah, you know?
I didn't think we were going to get here. Like, the fact that we are here after at least 3 or 4 starts is really impressive. Yeah. So I want to say pat on the back to us.
And we could have given up. We could have said, let's do it another day. And we were like, no, we are persevering. We are doing this.
literally. And we did it. And I'm really, really proud of ourselves because we got here. But amazing. So the direct message is a part of the show where we just leave listeners with a little take-home message. And today, I guess I want to leave listeners with, well, 2 things. And I think one of them is really relatable to this reading. My mum always used to say to me, everyone's learning the same thing at different times. And I think that's really relatable today. I even probably mentioned it on the direct message before, because there's all so much information in this world. There's all information, we all this knowledge, and we all have different forms of access to it, but we need to be comfortable in ourselves to receiving that information and not putting ourselves off and not putting others off by what they know, how little they know or how much they know. And I think this tarot reading and this conversation, particularly about animation and multi-dimensions, it encourages us to understand that every day is like a new start. So be present with yourself. My G's.
Love it.
Thank you.
Love it.
Yeah, no, I think I sort of put two in one together, but there you go. That's my direct message.
Amazing.
What's your direct message, Bradley?
I think, yeah, again, like just be kind to yourself, reflect shamelessly. Like it's okay to sit with your own thoughts and to
I love that.
and just to let them manifest. At the end of the day, you are only going through what you're going right now to help you get to whatever tomorrow is supposed to be. And yeah, just sit with yourself from time to time and think, okay, why is my life like it is right now? Don't search for purpose, because purpose will come naturally. Just enjoy what you're doing, think creatively, think as positively as you can, and the rest will do its own work.
No, I love that. Oh my goodness, I'm going to make this into a highlight. That was beautiful. Reflect shamelessly. I
Yeah.
love that. Oh my God, Bradley, you've been amazing.
Thank you. No, you too.
Honestly, you've been amazing. Like, I'm actually kind of gutted that we didn't do a DMC now. I'm going to have to get you come back for a DMC.
Yeah, really whenever. Just let me know. Yeah.
Honestly, I've enjoyed talking to you so much. And it's so, like, lovely. And, yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed this chat. Is there anything that you can leave listeners with, your socials, where they can listen to your podcast, like all of that good stuff?
Yeah, so like I said, Confessions of a Disney Cast Member is available on every streaming platform. It's a new episode's released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at midnight. I also have two other podcasts that I am producing and hosting at the moment. One is called Keep Calm and Bachelor On. If you watch The Bachelor, which is an American reality show, it's really good fun. It's on Hayu, and me and my friend Sophie B, we just talk about things week to week as they go by, just like a review episode. And then finally, the other podcast I am doing is season 2 is about to start at the end of June. It's called Gay AF, and that's with my good friend Charlie, and we basically talk about everything that it is to be a gay guy in this present day. So yeah, like if you follow me on Instagram, Mr. Bradley Coker, you'll be able to find all the links on there to listen to our podcast. But yeah, and thank you so much, Sarah, for coming and spreading your light and your and all your wonderfulness and allowing me to come on and share my thoughts and feelings. And it's been so nice being on this side. I was really nervous, like even though I podcast all the time, I was like, I'm never on this side, so it's really nice to get to do this as well.
I get it, because it's like, it's nerve-wracking because like as a podcaster you're steering the conversation, but as the guest you're just like, well, I mean, you're there for the chat, do you know what I mean? Like you're there for the responses, and like I'm so grateful to have you on. You've really helped me change my mindset today. And I hope that listeners can too, because animation is great, but also the conversation's been even better. Do you know what? Yeah. I can't wait until we're the first host to this animation show.
I can't wait for it.
I was about to say show. Award show. That's what I meant to say. Because it can so happen. Just imagine me and you. Oh my God, I can't wait.
Yeah, manifest it. It's going to happen. Let's think creatively and proactively, and it'll happen.
Literally, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening today. I've been your host, Sarah DM. You can find this podcast on all podcast streaming platforms, or you can find the visuals on YouTube. We also have, we're on Instagram, DM.Talks. You can follow my personal, DM.Seerah. Which is DM.Seerah. But without further ado, we're going to go now and we're going to enjoy the sun because, well, it's just been a nice breezy day and I'm excited to continue this day. Thank you all for listening and I hope you have a lovely one. See you later. Bye.